Morning, everybody. Here we are again, round two. Round two on Friday, going through the SharePoint weekly newsletter roundup. Just did a open chat this morning at 11 a.m. and we were kind of going through the latest news and what's happening, and just kind of making that presence happen, just to be available for all you guys, just to show you that Bamboo is here and we're listening. Anyways, today's the SharePoint weekly newsletter roundup. So we're going to go over every week our company, Bamboo Solutions, a product and services company on Microsoft SharePoint, and really kind of just provide services across the entire Microsoft stack, whether it be development or support or admin, configuration, etc. of your SharePoint farms. That's what we do. We got something like 40 or 50 products that we sell on SharePoint. So if you're looking to extend it, whether it's in the cloud or on-prem, we might be able to help you. And so anyways, our company, having all that experience and expertise, we put out a weekly newsletter. And if you are not on that already and would be interested, this newsletter goes out every Friday at 8 a.m. and gives you a good recap of all the latest SharePoint news over the past week. So Friday at 8 a.m. you could jump on, have your cup of coffee, do a little reading, and then maybe join me at noon on Fridays to kind of go over it, just talk about it together. And that's what we're doing here today. So without further ado, let me pull it up. Where are you at? There it is. Put this up on the screen. I like to view it in the browser, so let's do so. And then I will share my screen with you. How y'all doing today? Who's out there? What you up to? Well, that did not work to load in Chrome. I got to do it in Internet Explorer, apparently. I didn't realize that. It's a local HTML version of the newsletter, that's why. All right, we will not continue on. Let's just get this thing going here. All right. Screen share, go. So thanks for jumping on today, guys. Like I said, we're going to go through the weekly newsletter that we send out. This is what it looks like. So you get access to this in your inbox. We recap the news over the past week of everything Microsoft SharePoint-y related. Maybe even just has to do with infrastructure that SharePoint might be running on, whether it's Azure services or Microsoft development efforts, etc. If it has any way of touching SharePoint, we're going to probably include that top news in here. So as you can see, we've got a nice branded newsletter here. We got our top news stories, which we kind of go over in detail, and then we just kind of roughly touch on stuff that's going on around the blogosphere. And then we'll just kind of briefly touch on the events that are currently going on in the SharePoint world. So let's get started. Top news stories for SharePoint. What do we got here? Resources to help you modernize your SharePoint intranet from Computer World. Let's go take a gander. What do we got? This is from Susan Hanley. Awesome. Thinking about converting your classic SharePoint intranet to modern? Use these great recent resources to guide and inspire your planning. A lot of this, if you guys are listening in on daily at 11 a.m. for Open Chat, we've probably gone over a bunch of this, but it's okay. The audience for my Friday recap of the newsletter might not be the same crowd. We're going to cover it again just a little bit. If I can get this page to respond. There we go. So based on some exciting changes that are rolling out for modern SharePoint, I think 2019 is going to be the year of modern for SharePoint intranets. Within the next few months, most of these key barriers to going modern will have been removed. The point where many more organizations will jump in. Right, there's a bunch of hype going on around the modern experience there in SharePoint. I was talking about it this morning on Open Chat that they're really kind of bringing SharePoint finally to the place that content management systems currently provide out in the world. So you're probably used to maybe controlling a WordPress website or something Drupal or something like that, right? Like a CMS that's got modern capabilities in it. Well, SharePoint is now there and more. There's a whole lot more. It's so tightly integrated with your entire organization's 365, right? So you can see why there's a bunch of hype around all the modern experience that's going on now. So anyways, without beating that to death, she says, keep in mind that just because something is relevant for one of the organizations featured in these top intranet lists, it doesn't make it relevant to your organization. The features you need are the ones that drive value for organization. Yep, good info there. Internet Design Annual 2019 from Nielsen Norman Group. We checked this out. There wasn't any, I don't think there were any screenshots to this, so it wasn't visually awesome, but you do get a list of the top intranets, the 10 of them in 2019. It does not want to load for me. We'll come back to that maybe. What else did she talk about here? Resources to help us modernize our SharePoint intranet, such as that that top 10 list there. You got the Intranet and Digital Workspace Showcase from Step 2. You got a SharePoint Intranet in a Box report from Clearbox. And then you've got the SharePoint in Office 365 lookbook. So I'll touch this real quick, because if you guys didn't check this out, the lookbook's pretty awesome for giving you some insight into maybe possibilities or potential for your intranet on SharePoint. So this is something put on by Microsoft, I believe. It's hosted in Azure there, you can tell from the URL. Here's some examples of intranet homepages, showing you some of that modern experience that everyone's all hyped about, right? And what that might look like when you go to roll this out, and some of the capabilities that you're just going to get now out of the box. You're going to have these new web parts that do things that we didn't used to have. That really enhance that intranet for you. Maybe drive more adoption of your organization's intranet and portal, and yeah, allow you to communicate more clearly and more precisely, more effectively. So hub sites, we had those intranet homepage designs there. We got hub sites. Hub sites is a big category here lately. Recently wrote a blog post about hub sites there on our website, bamboosolutions.com. So go check that out. Good info about hub sites there. But here's an example of what hub sites might have in them and contain in them. It's really just a roll-up of all of those site collections that have been deemed children of that hub, or members of the hub, sorry. Yeah, it rolls it all up, rolls all that info up into one place, which is really, really neat. Communication sites, cool stuff there. You know, communication is more of your sort of engaging, marketed type of experience, to where it needs to look and feel amazing and like something that people might just be naturally gravitated to by aesthetics. Team sites, that's where the collaboration happens, right? This is where we do our work. So here's an example of some team sites and designs for those. So anyways, the lookbook's a really cool resource for that stuff. I'm very designer driven, so I really, really enjoy being in that space and talking those things. So cool stuff there. What else we got? SharePoint Online users to get modern UI push in April. This is pretty big news here recently. So they're planning to alter some of the tenant level blocking capabilities that may have been set up by organizations and deliver its so-called modern user interface starting in April. So what does that mean? It's according to the FAQ section. Let's see, it seems that end users won't necessarily see the modern UI changes on lists and libraries when the switch gets made, at least initially. The FAQ explained that the switch will be more change in the administrator settings. So they're saying it's only a change to the admin settings, not the user interface. It makes it simpler to deploy modern experiences to more users while providing enhanced tools to identify and manage lists and libraries that need to stay classic. That's really the gist of what's going on there. Something to be aware of, though, especially for vendors creating solutions, right? To be aware of sort of that push for the modern experience and the impact that could have on your solutions. And it does have an impact, more than likely. So I would check into that if you haven't already. Office 365 versus G Suite. What? Which productivity suite is best for your business? What do y'all think? It says Microsoft and Google are engaged in a pitched battle to win over your business with suites of cloud-based productivity software and services. Here's a look at the many different editions. Yada, yada, yada. What else? Where's the comparison? They both want to be your one-stop shop for business productivity software. Each suite includes the following features. Business email, you get with it, shared calendaring services attached to custom domains. Online storage with shared space for collaboration and large allotment of personal storage space for each user. They both give you productivity apps for creating and collaborating on documents, spreadsheets, and presentations, corporate communication tools, including messaging, online meetings, and video conferencing. And they give you a management interface with advanced features such as compliance and archiving for enterprise customers, as well as security features and two-factor authentication. All right, so that's what they both give us. So they're underpinned by a robust, highly reliable cloud infrastructure with data centers worldwide. And if the G Suite brand doesn't ring a bell, maybe you know the service by its former name, Google Apps. All right. Okay. Packages and prices. All G Suite plans include the things we just talked about. G Suite plans at a glance. You got basic, business, enterprise. All Office 365 plans include either a set of cloud-based features or the right to download and install the Office desktop apps on up to 15 devices per user. 15! It's a lot. That is a lot. The collection of desktop apps include Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all those Office tools that you've been using probably in your business for years and years and years. The cloud-based services include the following. I think this is just another recap of all the things we talked about. They both include... but here's a glance at the plans, right? Office 365 Business Essentials, Business Premium, Pro Plus, Enterprise E1, E2, E1, E3, and E5, sorry. The E1 plan, let's see. Is that the... I can't remember now off the top of my head. You get SharePoint in the business plans as well, I believe. SharePoint and Microsoft Teams support are included, yep. So... true at that. Come on. My music stopped. Where'd it go? So what else do they got to say about that? So there's a breakdown of our plans at a glance. And then how do they compare? Email. Exchange Online, optimized for use with Outlook desktop client. Google has Gmail, optimized for use in the Chrome browser. Just about everything corporate email administrator would want, including anti-malware protection, blah, blah, blah. G Suite basic accounts have a maximum inbox size of 30 gigs. Let's see, in enterprise plans, goes what? The limitation goes away with the G Suite Business Enterprise. Got it. Office 365 mailbox sizes are capped at either 50 gigs or 100 gigs, depending on the plan. Productivity apps, flagship productivity apps are designed to work, blah, blah, yep. Availability of those Office desktop apps is the killer feature for most organizations. I'd agree, right? So we're moving over to the subscription-based model for acquiring our Office products. So getting those and having that capability to be able to download them and install them on desktop clients within an enterprise's infrastructure is pretty key usually, and usually the driving force, I think, for going Office 365 versus Google. And I don't know whether that's right or wrong. It seems like they both provide the same basic functionality, but it really does have to do with your preference, it seems like. What else? Cloud storage, OneDrive for Business. Once a clunky spinoff, now shares the same sync engine as its consumer counterpart. It, I will say, has changed a lot. I use Dropbox mainly for stuff like this, or used to anyways, and I can hardly see a difference between OneDrive and Dropbox now. What else? You get a terabyte of SharePoint storage there for the organization. Each business user gets a terabyte of personal cloud storage. Google Drive storage allocations are shared with Gmail. On basic accounts, the total is 30. The limit increases to 1 terabyte on upgraded accounts. Okay. It goes to unlimited for G Suite Business and Enterprise plans. Interesting. All right, communication and collaboration. Regardless of whether you use G Suite or Office 365, you have an assortment of communication and collaboration tools. Both services allow simultaneous editing of documents in web browser. Yep. G Suite uses 2 flavors of Google Hangouts for simple text chats, online meetings, and video conferencing. 365 accomplishes the same goals with Skype for Business app, and the newer Microsoft Teams and Streams app. Teams all the way, man. Teams is the bomb. I love it. All right, that's sort of the comparison of G Suite versus 365. They don't really make a decision, I don't think, for which one's best for your business, but you can determine that maybe by reading some of the features that they've outlined there. The security think tank, Cloud Tech, helps to protect advanced networks. Computer Weekly. All right, what do we got here? How can organizations eat those pop-ups? How can organizations combine software-defined networking, containerization, and encryption to prevent rogue code from running freely across a corporate network? In today's technology environment, we have come a long way from the old days of IT. What are they saying? Companies that provide services for apps have had to find ways to make all this possible while at the same time making sure that malware is not able to run rampant from one piece of the network to another. How do they do it? SDNs, software-defined networking with containerization and encryption, keeps these state-of-the-art networks always available, uber efficient, and most importantly, secure. We've all heard about encryption and containerization, but what exactly is SDN? It's a good question. SDN is a concept that has been in the making for the best part of a decade or more, but it's really come into its own over the past few years. SDN takes many of the concepts of cloud computing and applies function virtualization to the networking equipment and devices that need a network. All right. Looking for a really super simple sentence in here. In the pre-IT days of the pre-cloud days of IT, and by comparison with today, IT costs were relatively high considering that a lot of the technology was new. Let's see. The many uses of SDN. So instead of needing a router or a firewall to do what they do on their own hardware, the software is installed on a virtual machine that is connected to a plane and with other virtual network equipment, servers, and computers, which makes communications much faster. Huh. All right, so some good information there on sort of that containerization and encryption using SDN principles. What do we got? Next Windows 10 version will let you search without Cortana's involvement. Ars Technica. Cortana is seeing their productivity focus. Search is being unified with Office 365. I saw a tweet this morning, or actually it was a Google News post about how Microsoft is now declaring Cortana is not a competitor to Google Assistant or Alexa, but is instead going to be focused more at the I guess, productivity market, and that they will focus on generating an app to use Cortana to be more productive within the iOS, the Alexa, all those ecosystems already, like they currently do with all their products. So like Microsoft provides the Office products across the globe or across the market there for those different platforms, they're going to do the same with Cortana. So it's more of a plug and play no matter where you're at. Currently, Windows 10 has a single text box on the taskbar that's used for searches and Cortana commands. That is true. The combination of the two features was an oft-criticized part of Windows 10 interface. They're promising to make some big changes to its search experience that will be particularly visible to corporate Office 365 users. Searches, whether invoked from Windows, Bing, Office, or Teams, will be unified. So no matter where a search begins, users will be able to find, for example, documents in the corporate SharePoint or OneDrive, conversations in Teams or Yammer, or contacts. That's pretty awesome. So it's not being abandoned. Microsoft's just making changes to give its assistant more focus. So, for example, the Insider Preview version of Windows 10 also includes integration between Cortana, Microsoft's To-Do app, and Outlook's tasks. Nice. I am on the Insider build, but I have yet to check that out. Microsoft rolls out its My Analytics tracker to all Microsoft 365 users. This looks really cool. Get some dashboarding around your particular usage of 365. All right, continue to site. So the My Analytics Workplace Activity Tracking tool is now available to users of Office 365 or the Office 365 Enterprise or Business Suites with Exchange Online after only being offered previously in high-end subscriptions. Okay. Refers to it as the fitness tracker for work. We talked about this week on Open Chat, and I was talking about how this may now play directly into performance reviews, right? Ooh, let's see what the analytics say of your involvement. You know, so let's see here. Helps users get a visual report on how they spend their time at work. According to a recent post by Natalie McCullough, the General Manager for Workplace Analytics and My Analytics for Microsoft, the tool also offers advice on how users can work smarter by cutting unproductive meeting time and by reducing the time. So it's got a little AI in there, do some assessment of your analytics and then make some suggestions. So it's available to all users of the Office 365 and Microsoft 365 Enterprise and Business Suites. It also includes Exchange Online services. It previously was not available to 365 users, and it was only included in the E5 plan, or as an add-on. Okay. You got any screenshots here? Because I saw some. They look pretty interesting. Let me come over here to My Analytics. So check this out. You're going to get this now with your Office 365 Enterprise, Business Suites, and Microsoft 365 subscriptions. You're going to get this My Analytics. Summarizes how you're spending your time. Scary. And be like, yo, Kev, yeah, I saw like 3 focus hours going on. What's that about? Make data-driven decisions about your work. Check that out. My Analytics has got a little Outlook plugin. Tell us who's important. I'm just kind of reading some of the things I see in that screenshot there. Got a to-do list. Interesting. See where your time goes. Oh, that's pretty neat. You see the people in your inner circle based on the amount of time you've spent collaborating with them, potentially. And then privacy by design. My Analytics is designed to protect your privacy. Only you can view your personal data. So not going to play into performance reviews unless part of the step is take a screenshot of your My Analytics and send them to attach them to your performance review. It's coming. Prove it. Prove it. Prove you're a hard worker. All right. How to create a cloud-based virtual network in Microsoft Azure. This is probably pretty useful if you haven't done this already. Creating these virtual networks is a common task to set up some infrastructure. It's actually in some of the templated things, I think, already for your Azure infrastructure, but you know, if you wanted to configure your own, here's a good step-by-step to get through that. Very useful. All right, so that's all the top news stories today. We only have 6 minutes left, so I'm going to blaze through the blogosphere, just touch on some of those, and then go through the list of events, and we'll be done. So some things that have been written about in the blogosphere here recently are why you no longer need a SharePoint document center. That could be a contentious argument there, but probably a good point of discussion, so I would check that out. I've got an MVP article for the SharePoint Framework web part with the Microsoft Graph and PNP.js step-by-step guide. Went over this week on OpenChat. Very good step-by-step guide. If you're getting into SharePoint development and kind of want to follow a tutorial or a step-by-step, this is the way to go right here. So access that link. Again, if you don't have access to our newsletter to get access to that link or haven't been able to search and find it, you can sign up for that on our website here. Just in Twitch chat, I've just pasted a link to sign up for the newsletter. What else? Delivering SharePoint modern experiences. I think we touched on that today in OpenChat as well. 7 SharePoint and Office 365 predictions for 2019 and reflections. That's a good post as well. If you're looking for that predictive analysis, check that out. Good info there. SharePoint Server 2019 library settings options in modern experience. Good info there on the settings updates. Injecting text using custom column formats. Certifications for SharePoint 2019. There are some new certifications that came out in 2019, so you've got this whole concept of teamwork. Here, I'll just open it up real quick and breeze through it. Where's it at? So now there's this terminology being used called teamwork in the certification space here. So let's see. So you've got this Microsoft 365 Certified Teamwork Administrator Associate. And so within that, you got to pass these 2 exams, one being deploying Microsoft 365 Teamwork and one deploying SharePoint Server Hybrid. Inside of these things, you can kind of see they broke down what percentage of which products are covered in those exams. And there you go. It's a bunch on SPO, SharePoint Online, OneDrive for Business, Teams, and workload integration. So you'll want to spin up on that. Anyways, good information here on even some of the details of signing up for those beta tests or exams that they have now. But it kind of gives you some vision of where it's headed with the certifications if you're into that thing. Fix SharePoint Designer login with multi-factor. Probably pretty handy if you're in that space. Open a SharePoint library in Windows Explorer and save it to quick access. Nice productivity tip there. Experiment, find out where SPFX web parts are being used in modern SharePoint sites. This was a neat blog post. There's a way to actually use the search API and determine where your SPFX web part is used and get a report on that. Cool tool. Troubleshooting info paths, submit or item saving issues in SharePoint. Microsoft Flow Beginner's Guide, how to show your custom flow under flow dropdown in SharePoint list. And then some of the events that are going on here in the industry. Looks like you've got SharePoint Saturdays coming up in San Diego, St. Louis, North Germany, Salt Lake City. You got the one in Chennai. We got SP TechCon coming up February 10th through the 13th in Austin, so we'll be there. Please come out and see us if you're going to go. If you are going to go and you haven't bought a ticket yet, reach out to me at sales@bamboosolutions.com. I'll get you a discount code. What else? North American Collaboration Summit happening in Branson, March 14th, 15th, and then you got the SharePoint Conference in Vegas, 21st to the 23rd of May. Those are so fun. If you haven't been, go. It's a really neat way to do some networking and hang out with some of the MVPs. I mean, all very approachable, and just so many cool events that happen at that thing. So anyways, that's all I've got. 2 minutes to spare. That is the SharePoint Weekly Newsletter Roundup. If you're interested in signing up, I pasted a link in chat, so check that out. Sign up. Get this in your inbox every Friday at 8 a.m. Join me every Friday at noon to go over it and kind of talk through it. Or you can join me every day for Open Chat at 11 a.m. Eastern, where I'm pretty much hitting this stuff as it comes out in the news. Sort of real time, if you will. Yep, that's it. That is all. Let's see here. If I click on this, I was going to say there is a way to view past issues. So when you get this email, I open it up in the browser. There's a view this email in your browser button here. There's a past issues option here. So as you're looking through this thing and maybe you wanted to go back and see what other news was recently posted, you can access that through this. And here's a list of all the SharePoint Weekly Newsletter Roundup newsletters that we've sent out. So anyways, thank you guys. Thanks everybody for jumping on and going through the news with me. I always have a good time talking SharePoint news and seeing what's happening out there, keeping me up to date, keeping y'all up to date, I hope. So thanks for jumping on. We will see you then on Monday morning, Open Chat, 11 a.m. Eastern, here on Twitch, Twitch or YouTube. And I'm currently in the process of getting some Facebook streaming going as well, so look out for that. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.